Welcome to Lacrosse Classified, your go-to source for all things NLL and box lacrosse. We will bring you the biggest names and best storylines in the world every single week. So settle down and listen up. It's time for Lax Class.
Lacrosse fans, welcome back to Lax Class. Lacrosse Classified is now in session. Eyes up front, pay attention. We got a big program coming up this week. Normally I say we are here on the Lacrosse Culture Daily Podcast Network. I'm going to have to get that out of my vernacular, unfortunately, as John Donville reached out to me and a bunch of other guys, including my co-host here, that Lacrosse Culture Daily is shutting its doors here for the foreseeable future. And, large in part due to Donnie just wanted to focus on his playing career. I think he was feeling some burnout, trying to make it all work on the website, play PLL, play NLL. He's playing in the Super Sixes event. And I feel like he just felt like his game was maybe suffering a little bit because of all the work that he was doing on Lacrosse Culture Daily. And I completely understand it. I completely support John Donville and his decision. It's very unfortunate, because I really started to believe Lacrosse Culture Daily was your go-to source for lacrosse coverage and box lacrosse in particular over the World Wide Web. So Lacrosse Classified currently without a home as far as a website goes, but the podcast rolls on. 359 is underway. It's Jake Kelly with you. And thank you to John Donville and everybody over there at Lacrosse Culture Daily for the last couple of years, supporting the show, supporting lacrosse, and just putting in a ton of work. So I just wanted to get that in off the top. Jake Kelly, Lucas Arger, and our old buddy, Evan Schemenauer, is back on the podcast, and I'll explain why Evan is back on the podcast here in mere moments. But first, before I let either of you speak a word, I am going to tell the classmates what's coming up here on the show this week, because it's a biggie. It's a big one, folks, here. So buckle up. We have our Lax Class Lock of the Week, of course, in quarter number 4. Stupid Argos blew it. 3 for 4 on the parlay last week. Stupid Argos. Why did we ever bet on the Toronto Argos? I don't know. But we'll try and do better. I think that was Lucas's idea, quite frankly. We'll try and do better in quarter number 4 for our Lax Class Lock of the Week. This week, quarter number 3, we will talk to the brain master of the Saskatchewan. Brain master? That's not even a thing, but I just made it one. The man in charge of the Saskatchewan Rush. Let me just say that. Jammer, Derek Keenan, is back on the podcast in quarter 3 to talk all things Rush. As we continue our season previews, quarter number 2, we will head for a much warmer climate. I will say that. Maybe a little more scenic as well. San Diego, California. Patrick Merrill, general manager, head coach of the San Diego Seals, will join us in quarter number 2, so we'll preview Seals and Rush this weekend. I'm not sure I got a goalie of the week. I'm not quite prepared to dive into the Montana Lacrosse League for a goalie of the week. Listen, guys, I've seen, not to veer off course here, but I've seen some people tweeting out here about this Montana Lacrosse League, and I've recognized a couple of players in the league. This to me just looks like glorified beer league lacrosse being played in somebody's backyard basement of an arena. Are we really trying to showcase guys playing in this league for draft eligible or NLL tryouts? No disrespect. I love what the gang's all doing down there in Montana, trying to grow the sport of box lacrosse and give some guys a chance to play some ball. But come on now. Come on now. I'm looking at this arena. It's 3 steps and you're across center. Nobody's playing defense. The boards are made out of styrofoam. Come on now. I don't even know what I was talking about. A goalie of the week. That was what I was talking about right there. I don't know if we'll have a goalie of the week or not this week. Maybe one of you two gentlemen will have a suggestion in that regard. But first and foremost, coming up here in quarter number 1, It's the big focus. Big focus. Big focus is coming up. And as we last week spoke with the owner and general manager of the Toronto Rock, Jamie Dowick, made some waves last week, I will just say. Thank you for everybody to listening to that show, by the way. One of our biggest downloaded episodes in Lacrosse Classified history last week. See if that trend continues this week as we will welcome the NLL Players Association leadership group in Vice President Reid Reinholdt, President Zach Currier will join us here momentarily coming up in the big focus in quarter number one. All right. I told you guys I was going to go on a bit of a ramble there, but now I will welcome you both to the podcast here. Let's start with you, Lucas. I didn't get a chance to talk to you off the top last week either. How's it going?
Going well, man. Yeah, had a pretty successful and fun weekend, and got a bit of a workout in me yesterday, and had a couple appointments this morning on a Tuesday, and now I'm ready to hit the record button for a couple hours with you and Evan. So had a pretty good couple days over the weekend myself.
So did your Toronto Blue Jays, I must say. It may be the one, and I will say, the only time I will cheer for the Toronto Blue Jays is when they are playing the New York Yankees. That's the only time that I will cheer for the Blue Jays. So I'm on the Blue Jay wagon here, at least for one more win. And then we'll see what happens after that. But Blue Jays looking
tonight.
good. Yeah,
It's over tonight.
I don't know about that. We'll keep the tape on that. I think the Yankees probably get it done tonight. Force a game number 4. But got a bit of a workout in myself yesterday. Couldn't do anything upper body related. Lucas took a bit of a nasty spill on the old disc golf course on Sunday for doubles. Went off the end of the tee pad, and instead of just doing the tuck and roll, the barrel roll, I tried to put my arm out and brace my fall. And when you got that kind of weight coming down on one appendage of your body, bad things are going to happen. Happens to be the throwing hand too, which is not ideal. So we might be just legs for the foreseeable future, as far as I'm concerned. See how all that goes. Evan, what about you back there in the tune? I know you're at work right now. We haven't really caught up in quite some time. So how are things back there on the prairies?
Well, first off, I can't believe there's a DL for disc golf of all things.
Oh,
right? Things are good. Got some time in Vegas with Vasily this summer. Got to see a whole bunch of sports events. That's a beautiful thing about Vegas now. There's so many sports teams you can put in any time of the year. You can just go see sports event after sports event. And
I saw that. Can I get this in real quick before I forget? Las Vegas Desert Dogs just announcing it today. In fact, they have signed a deal with Fox 5 down there in Las Vegas. They are going to broadcast all of their games, some on the Premier Network. They'll be shown locally in Vegas, and I think they're going to throw them up on YouTube even as well. So no excuse not to watch Desert Dogs game as well. I'm getting fired up for Desert Dog season. Sounds like Zach Greer is going to be in the chair a little more often this season as well, and I'm going to get to do a little more play-by-play for the Dogs this year as well. So I'm fired up.
yeah, I mean, besides that, just looking at random thoughts, trying to find a new home for it. So we'll dig into that. And yeah, you know what? I do have a suggestion for a goalie of the week. So if you get to that,
Okay.
I have a suggestion.
Sounds good. What else can we discuss here off the top of the program as far as lacrosse stuff goes? I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent about sixes last week. And Lucas, I'm sure you heard that. We had a bit of a discussion in our group chat as well. We got Super Sixes coming up is it Oshawa? Is that where they're going down this weekend? I'm going to tune into this. Looks like more potent rosters here for most teams, and some more countries involved as well. I kind of shared my thoughts on the Sixes game last week. Evan, you give me yours and what some of your takeaways from Sixes are after watching. It's been a while now since they've introduced the discipline. We've seen a number of competitions. We haven't seen a whole lot of tweaking to the rules or anything yet, and I don't know if we will, or they're just going to, this is what we're sticking with. But, what are you seeing or feeling after watching a few of these events now?
First off, the goals got to be smaller. They're just way too big for the sixes game. Like if you had poles out there, a 6x6 makes sense. You don't have poles. You don't have the ability to shut guys off from a distance. Narrow the net to at least 5 feet, maybe even shorten it to 5 feet because there are lacrosse nets that are made 5x5. I don't like how high the scoring is. Definitely not the PLL 2 point rule. Please do not bring that in. But and yeah, you're right. This yellow card, red card, like, come on. If there's a penalty limit, okay, guy's gone. Don't need to issue a red card. Just like, yeah, you're done, right? Go to the dressing room.
Now, what's
But
next? The magic spray when somebody gets hurt? Are we going to bring the stretcher onto the field now? Like,
oh, I mean, the magic spray, if you've ever used it, actually is a beautiful thing. But
stop it, Evan. Stop it.
I mean,
What else?
the
What
nice thing
else?
about the sixes game, like for example,
What do you like about it?
so for example, if you remember, Japan upset everybody and got the bronze, if I'm not mistaken, at the World Games, right? So the ability for teams to absolutely shift. The other thing about it is that you have to be a two-way player. If you can't be a solely offense or defensive player, there's just not enough time to keep subbing you off. So this is where guys like a Challen Rogers or Dane Smith or they're going to excel because they're great two-way players.
Yeah, I think the more well-rounded you are, the better you are going to be at sixes. But I don't see a whole lot of emphasis being put on playing defense either. Like, I just kind of feel like it's like, okay, you have your turn, we'll get our turn next. Like, there's no physicality to the game. And that, to me, I think is my biggest dislike of it, is it's just not physical enough as far as it's lacrosse. And then you're taking body checking away from the sport of lacrosse. Now, I do like the fact that any country can pick this game up and essentially start playing it if you got a stick and a goal. I think that's a super positive. I think for developing nations, it's easier to field a competitive team. And even for those teams like England and Germany and Scotland and Ireland and these teams that are right on the cusp of kind of moving into Pool A, when you shrink these rosters down to 10, 11, 12 guys instead of 20, 21, you take your best 10, that playing field gets a little more level with those guys being able to compete with the upper echelon of the sport. So I think that's a positive. The accessibility, having the facilities to be able to go out and play a game of sixes wherever and whenever, I think is a huge bonus. But again, I think you make some good points. I think the net too big, get rid of these cards, maybe bring a little physicality into the ball game as well. Like I'm just hoping the folks at World Lacrosse are still open to tweaking things a little bit to make it a little more viewer friendly. What do you say, Lucas Arger?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I wholeheartedly agree with you, Evan. Make the net smaller. I do like the high scoring, but you got to shrink them a little bit. Even if it's a 5.5 by 5.5, I think if you go a full foot, that would make it more like a natural lacrosse game where it's a 12-10, 13-11 final, something like that. But if you make it 5.5 by 5.5, I think that would better suit the goalies. The one thing that I don't like at all is how a player can be ejected from the game for hitting a defender directly above the knee on a shot. That is something that I absolutely hate. I think it's ridiculous. I know it comes from the women's game, but I just think that it's flat out stupid. If you're the defender, just soak the shot. Like don't intentionally try and jump in the way just to get, a Jeff Teat or a Challen Rogers or a Dane Smith out of the game because you blocked one of their shots in the ribs. I think that's just flat out stupid. Other than that, I mean, there are some tweaks that I would make in terms of getting rid of the cards. I think you have to have a mercy rule. Like something that we do here in Ontario is that if a team is up by, I think it's 10 or 12 goals, the team that's up a lot has to retreat to essentially where a restraining line would be in field to allow the other team to get across half and actually play play offense. I think something like that should be implemented because the last thing that you want is, Canada taking on Mexico this weekend for the women's sixes. And if Canada gets up 23-1, Mexico's going to lose the ball as soon as they get over center. So I think something like that has to be implemented to give the other team a chance to actually play offense and generate some scoring opportunities.
I don't mind it. The other thing for me is the separation between the men's and the women's discipline. Like right now, I think the way the rules are set up be more entertaining to watch the women play than the men. Now, the game certainly invites the creativity and the imagination and the skill to try and score some crazy goals and make some crazy moves. I like that portion of it. But if we're talking about making the game accessible to all the countries and nations and, having everybody in more countries playing the game, I'm just not sure why we are separating the men and the women as far as the equipment goes. Like, why are the women not wearing helmets and not using a traditional lacrosse stick? Why are they using women's field lacrosse sticks in sixes? Why aren't they playing by the same rules as men? So if you go into Kenya or Thailand, do you have to have two sets of sticks, one for the women and one for the men? Like, why are we not just having one set of rules for both genders?
I think there's a reason behind it, and that is more countries around the world are accustomed to the field rules for women than to the box rules. And
So,
and the key is you don't want to change the game that drastically for these other countries, right? Canada's different. Women play box, they play field.
we're talking
They
about
can
the
adjust.
stick, Evan.
I
The
understand that.
women running around there with just a pair of goggles on.
Mhm.
I know the contact has been taken out of sixes, and you can't really do it in women's field lacrosse either. But Lucas is just talking about blocking a shot and getting kicked out of the game. Put a helmet on. Put a helmet on. It's lacrosse. What are we doing? Running around with a pair of goggles on with sticks flying and balls ripping around the field. Like, that to me is crazy.
I mean, there's other little tweaks that I would put into it, like the one being any goal within the last 3 minutes, there's a face-off. That allows the team that's behind to
Or the
actually
clock
catch up.
stops or something, right?
Right.
Like, yeah. All right. Well, there's a little sixes talk here. I just wanted to more or less kill some time as we work our way to the big focus, but I think we're just about there. So let's do that. Lucas, you will rejoin the podcast after the big focus as we will talk to Pat Merrill and Derek Keenan coming up in quarter 2 and quarter 3, and the Lax Class lock of the week coming up as well. Evan, you're going to hang with me and chat with Zach Currier and Reid Reinholdt of the National Lacrosse League Players Association as we hope to work towards ratification and a CBA and start this season on time. Let's check in with the Players Association in the big focus.
Big focus.
Big focus.
Focus. Other than a big focus.
Focus.
Big focus.
The big focus. Sorry, I got to put you guys through this big focus. I got to do that. It's obligatory. The big focus is brought to you by Rycor Construction, as we like to do here during the off season. Rycor Construction, rycorconstruction.ca. At Rycor Construction Inc., if you want to see their work for yourself on Instagram or Facebook, they have tons of experience. They give you a quality experience, an exceptional client experience is what I want to say. Quality craftsmanship. Kitchens, flooring, additions, backyard transformations. They do it all, and they're going to make it stand out when they do. RycorConstruction.ca. All their contact information is there for you if you want them to make it stand out for you. And I suggest you do. Everybody needs a reno sooner or later. And when you do, Rycor Construction is where you want to go. I guess I could segue something into a renovation of the collective bargaining agreement is currently in the works right now. I don't know if you guys want to maybe tap into Rycor Construction, see if they can maybe help you renovate the CBA or not. But we'll welcome Reid Reinholdt and Zach Currier, the Vice President and President of the National Lacrosse League Players Association. Fellows, appreciate you doing this. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having us. I might have to use the Rycor Construction. I've got unexpected twins on the way and bedrooms. So I don't know. I might have to reach out to them at some point.
Unexpected twins. Congratulations, man. That is amazing news.
Yeah, I guess you're never really expecting them, but yeah. Thank
Well,
you.
that's fantastic. That's amazing news. Yeah, they are your people. And Zach, to you, how are things? Where are you hanging out? Are you in Peterborough right now?
Not in Peterborough, hoping to get back for Thanksgiving this upcoming weekend. But I am in Royal Oak, Michigan.
And what's going on in Royal Oak, Michigan? Where is Royal Oak, Michigan? I don't even know where that is.
It's about 20 minutes north of Detroit. Moved here in 2019 for the Warrior gig and liked it on a permanent resident green card. Sticking around and helping out with Warrior, doing a little bit of coaching. But yeah, just really like the area, nice and close to home.
All right. What's the latest with Warrior? Any new commercials maybe coming out with you and your brother or Get West in there? What's happening with Warrior these days?
The Currier Brothers series, we had our finale last year. There's still one more that there's in the hopper. I don't know when it's going to come out. It's pretty hilarious. Us playing some I guess backyard lax with some young kids from Orangeville, and we just bully them. So hopefully that comes out sometime soon. It's hilarious.
You're starting negotiation, probably a 3 to 5 year deal. Is normally how long they last. And you've got the inclusion of lacrosse in the Olympics coming up. And that may have a significant impact on revenue. It might not. How does that inclusion challenge the whole system of this negotiation?
Well, I think you tied term with that, which makes a lot of sense because obviously you don't really want any disruptions when you have momentum or something important like the Olympics coming up. And so we've been more willing to agree to a longer term deal just to work with the league in order to not have those interruptions. But terms a difficult thing to look at in a vacuum because it really does depend on the rest of the CBA and making sure our guys aren't vulnerable or falling behind. And so, with a longer term, we need to have some other protections in place and, some year over year increases and things of that manner.
This is what your second time through a collective bargaining agreement? Is that correct? Like I think I've been through three, one with the old guard and now two with you guys. Am I correct on that? This is the second time you've had to go through this?
2.5.
Okay.
We were negotiating a COVID deal during 2020, but obviously that didn't come to fruition. So it abruptly came to a halt when the travel situation unfolded and made it pretty impossible for our guys to be able to make a season happen and still go to their full-time jobs and everything like that.
It's sounding to me like a 5-year deal is on the table, most likely an opt-out after three if the players wanted to do that, depending on where revenue is at that point. Like I would imagine it's important for both sides to get something longer term done. So we're not running this out a year from now or even 2 years from now. Like I think both sides want to see a long term solution is where I'm going with that. Are you agreeable with that?
Yeah, if the deal's right, if it's a fair deal, we would sign a 10-year deal if it was fair. Zach and I don't necessarily want to be going through this process every year. It can be pretty taxing and a lot of uncertainty for everybody involved, which is uncomfortable. The opt-out isn't necessarily going to be just a choice of ours. Like you said, there's likely going to be some sort of revenue thresholds built into that, and we'll see how that goes.
So we're basically looking at a fixed salary cap situation. And I think back to when the NHL adopted that system 20 years ago. You've got the have teams, you've got the have not teams. You got teams that probably would want to spend in excess of the amount. You got teams that will struggle to pay half of it. With very little in the way of revenue sharing in this league, can a fixed cap system work?
It's a good question. We're not sure, and that's why we're trying to work through it with the league and make sure that we're protected everywhere and not have any unintended consequences. So we're doing all the research to try to make sure that our guys are protected. Like you mentioned, revenue sharing is a concept in all the major leagues, and we hope to someday get there where you have the haves helping the have-nots. So hopefully someday. I don't think it's going to happen in the immediate future, and I think a cap system could work if it's implemented properly, but we're just kind of working through all the bells and whistles that come along with it.
Yeah, I mean, from what I can gather, it sounds like, a hard cap is in place. As far as where that ceiling goes is still up for negotiation, and maybe the percentage increase of each year of that ceiling is still up for negotiation as well.
Yeah, I think
Fair to
that's
say?
accurate. Yeah, I think that's accurate without going too deep into where we're currently at. Trying to work with the league with some cost certainty. We've heard from them a lot about just trying to get a handle on costs. And so the hard cap will certainly help with that and control some of the spending, particularly the spending of the higher teams. Currently it's looking like it's going to be less than the current highest spending team. If we're signing a longer term deal, we just need some of those year over year increases in order to continue to make some room for teams to operate.
Zach, when you hear Jamie come on last week and talk about how 13 out of 14 teams are losing money, and the potential of losing 3 teams last year, saving 3 teams from a year ago, and then asking those guys for a raise the final year. I want you to be able to justify or explain your reasoning why you think that is something you guys deserve.
Yeah, lacrosse related revenue has been a big topic for us. It was a huge sticking point back in the 2019 negotiations where we were looking for some more transparency. We ended up getting some good faith negotiation articles put into the CBA in that year. We've attempted to negotiate that in the previous CBA, and we didn't quite get there. And now we're finally getting to the point where we're close to getting that transparency. We believe it's extremely important for us to see those numbers to ensure that we are getting a fair deal, and then also ensure that we're not pushing the business to its limits where we are losing 3 teams. We want to know how hard to push, but we don't want to push too hard that we are losing 3 teams and lose 75 jobs. So it's very important for both sides, and hopefully we get it this time around, and next time we both have a very accurate picture of what the pie looks like and what a fair deal looks like, so we can get things done a lot quicker. We just want to make sure that we're not getting taken advantage of. And a lot of pro sports leagues in the past have said they're losing money, and then as soon as this transparency piece comes through, it turns out that they're losing less money than they had previously said they were. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that our teams are having 10 teams that are making money. You can see it in the stands. A lot of teams are not doing as well as they would like to be, but we're hopeful that we can get better understanding of where those teams are at in the future so that we can come to a fair agreement a lot faster, and hopefully avoid these stressful situations that we're currently going through where everything's up in the air and we don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, and with that being said, like, I've heard multiple different things as far as wanting to see the books. I want you guys to clarify, Reid, maybe you can do this. Lacrosse related revenue, the owners opening up their books to what money they are bringing in through the lacrosse team. Now, every team and every city and every franchise has a different book, I would assume. Like, Colorado and Stan Kroenke and Terry Pagula and Buffalo are probably much different books than a John Arlotta or a Kurt Stiers or a Jamie Dowick, who are independent individual owners. Are you asking to see the entire book of Buffalo, like Sabres and Bandits and Mammoth and Nuggets and Avalanche, or are you just asking to see Mammoth and just Bandits and just Warriors, not Canucks as well? Like, where is the ask as far as lacrosse related revenue goes?
We just want to know what revenue is earned from lacrosse games in particular, and partnership and sponsorship. But you're right, there's a mixed bag, so there's definitely some nuances that have had to be worked through. We're not going to be getting the level of transparency that other leagues get by any degree. Luckily, our auditors also audit all those other leagues, so they've been in the books of the Avalanche and the Nuggets, and so they have a good understanding of what is fair to kind of look at and what's not. But I think at the end of the day, we're getting to a spot that's going to be okay for everybody, not perfect for anyone, but manageable. We don't want to overburden the teams either and create a bunch of extra work. So we just want to, kind of see what they're already collecting themselves, and then have someone to be able to use a little bit of judgment in order to ask some questions to just make sure that we're getting the full picture, because it is important that we have a good idea of what the financial landscape of the league is for the reasons that Zach said earlier.
One of the things I noticed in the internal memos that were posted online was that there's a significant increase, even in the owner's proposal, for rookies and second-year players. Something to the tune of 13,000.
Hang on here, because Reid's shaking his head like you say the word significant, and Reid's saying, I don't know if that's the right adjective to be using.
But by a percentage, it's significantly higher. Why was it important to get that level of increase for those two levels of players?
I'll let Zach pop in on this one.
It's a little bit deceiving. Yes, year one is an increase. Year three is a significant decrease. Typically, our players in year three get to go to a veteran max salary in this new rookie scale contract. That would not happen in year three. You'd still be subject to those rookie salaries. So if you run the numbers on the mins and maxes for rookies, it's actually slightly lower than it would have been previously. Reid, I don't know if you think this is too much detail for everybody, but
no, I think it's fine. We're still working through exactly what those thresholds will be. Yeah, and this gives those earlier round picks a bit more of an opportunity to earn a little bit more. And then it's sort of at the sacrifice of losing that third year of becoming a veteran.
And another hurdle that we've been trying to get across is the ability to have more of these high profile American field lacrosse players come in and try a player game. You look at guys in the PLL, they have big names in that league, they have big followings. We want to get them involved in our league, and it's tough for them to come in and make a very nominal salary when they can just stay at home and run a camp and make more money. So
coming in as a 27 or a 28-year-old that is well established as far as a pro lacrosse career goes, and then all of a sudden he's making a rookie salary.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me maybe give you an opportunity to explain not only to fans, but Zach, you're still a current player in the league. Reid, you're a former player in the league. And I know you're looking out for the players that are in the league now, but you're also looking out for the future players of this league and kind of setting a pathway for long-term success for these guys. I want you to kind of walk people through why this is an important thing for you guys to do.
Yeah, it's a difficult balance thinking about all of your stakeholders. You have guys with families and important jobs, and then you also have, young guys coming in that some of them are coming out of high school or even still in high school. And yeah, it's a difficult balance, but there's a lot of people's livelihoods that are at stake. It's just really important that we think about their best interests now and in the future. Try to get something fair for them.
I want to ask you about the communication, because I'm going to reference Jamie probably a few times here, guys, and some of the things that he had to say last week. And I think one of his comments was that 90% of the players have no idea what's going on. And I don't know what the process is as far as you as the leadership delivering the message to the player rep from each team, and then does that responsibility fall upon their shoulders to deliver the message that you guys deliver to them, to their entire team, so it trickles out through the entire league? Are you guys addressing your entire membership on a consistent basis? If so, how often? How does the process work as far as that goes? And when does that start to take place, Reid? Like when you have a deal that's ready to be ratified, or are you updating them as it goes along? Like, I know that's a lot of stuff in one question there, but I just kind of want you to explain how that entire process works.
Yeah, it's a difficult balance of keeping people extremely educated, and then also there's strategy involved and everything like that. And so the most important people to keep educated are our player reps, and the player reps make up our executive committee. And at the end of the day, when there's a proposal ready to be ratified, it has to be recommended by and approved by the executive committee, and then every player gets a vote on it. And it's an important two-step process because those reps and the players in the executive committee are really the most educated, and they've been in the weeds, they've been in those conversations, and so they're able to make the best decision. And beyond that, we try to update our membership periodically, generally via email. A lot of the time it's up to them to read those emails and listen to their player reps in their group chats. This week we are meeting with every team. So last night we met with 5 teams. Right when we get off this call, we'll be meeting with 3 other teams, and we'll get the rest done in the next 2 days. It is a difficult balance between keeping them as informed as possible while also keeping some of your cards sort of close to your vest, I guess.
I would imagine it's also important to keep your stars informed. The upper echelon of the league. I don't know if one is more important than the other. Like, you tell me, is it more important to keep a guy like Dane Smith more informed than it is to have a guy like Caleb Kahn, who just got drafted into the National Lacrosse League? Is one more important than the other, or do you have to treat them equally? Is the communication the same between those two parties? Like,
we think it's equally important, I would say, but generally you lean on some of those more veteran guys with some stronger voices, and you get a lot of feedback from them. They're pretty heavily invested. It's obviously an important job to a Dane Smith. We really highly encourage everyone to give us a call, send us a text if they have any questions or concerns. I cannot tell you how many people I've been on the phone with over the past 2 months, but it is.
Well, I've been one of them, Reid. So I have an idea. But are you taking feedback from these guys and suggestions, or are you Zach? Are you singularly focused on getting the best deal for everybody involved?
We definitely take feedback from everybody. There's a duty of fair representation as officers of this union, so we have to treat everyone the same, whether someone's punching me in the face on Saturday night or not. I gotta come back on Monday morning and make sure I have their best interest in mind, regardless of how we feel about them personally or anything like that. So we got to treat everyone the same. We do take suggestions from everybody. We've had some great ideas from our executive committee over the past couple months. We don't think of every single situation. We try to think of most of them, but there's always 1 or 2 questions that we get where we may not have thought of that previously, and then that leads to an idea, and then we get that into the CBA. One of those ideas recently came from Callum Jones out of Ottawa, so he's been involved in the process, and he brought something up on one of our calls. I was like, "That's a great point. Let me work on that," and you'll see it now in the CBA moving forward. So he's got his stamp on it, but we get suggestions from guys all the time and always willing to hear feedback. We took 3 years of notes getting ready for this CBA and tried to put as much as possible in there and see where we had legs and see where we didn't. But we always have to listen to our membership, and we're their voices. So we got to listen to them as much as possible.
One thing that kind of confused me when I was looking at the offers that were on the table is, now that you got a fixed salary cap, why is there a need for a veteran
Again,
max?
Evan, we don't have anything.
Right. Okay, but from what we've
these
seen,
documents are now a week old, and
Right.
you tell me, guys, have things changed drastically since those 2 documents leaked out onto the internet? Like, are we still talking about those same things right now?
Well, Evan, I think you've obviously done a lot of research in how hard caps work in other leagues. A starting point for us was similar to what you said, let the GMs just kind of distribute that money as they please underneath that hard cap. The hard cap's their certainty, and just let them distribute it underneath that. But there are some leagues with a vet max within a hard cap. It's just a very high percentage. The NHL is the lowest at 20%. And even then, people aren't reaching that amount. So we had a similar mindset to you, but this is a big shift from our previous CBA. And I think it just made ownership uncomfortable with eliminating a vet max, moving into this new system. So we're trying to work with them on that. And we'll see where it ends up.
On another point, of course, last year we saw the whole Christian Del Bianco situation play out, where he could have been franchised for 5 years straight by Mike Board if he wanted to. I know, Zach, you've been franchised. I know you've been franchised a few times yourself. But comparing to, say, a WNBA where you can only be franchised once, has there been any discussion in trying to avoid a situation, especially with a star player like that, from almost having to sit out years if the situation persisted?
It's definitely something that we brought up. We've tried to put in the Christian Del Bianco rule. They have adjusted the qualifications for the ability to reject a tag. We obviously want our star players playing. Hopefully this doesn't happen in the future, but there was a step to try to avoid that will be getting implemented in this next round. It doesn't quite solve the issue entirely, but at least it helps. It helps for sure.
Yeah, it's not every day an 18-year-old star steps into the league and he's done and accomplished what Christian has by such a young age either, which I think is a bit of a unique, I don't want to say a unicorn, but a unique situation. But nonetheless, guys, it's October the 7th here. Training camps, physicals are scheduled to take place in just a couple of weeks from now. We saw in the document, October 10th was a pretty hard deadline for starting to postpone or cancel some dates. I know they're feeling, that pressure. I'm assuming you guys are as well. I'm doing a lot of assuming, but I'm assuming that both sides want to get this done here, fellas, and they don't want to miss a week of training camp. They don't want to postpone any games or miss physicals or what. I mean, they need to book flights. They need to buy visas. All these things need to happen in a pretty quick timeline here. Optimistic. I don't know if you want to put a percentage on it. How are we feeling as far as working our way to some sort of resolution? I'm not asking you to show your cards or anything here, but give fans some hope here if you can, that we're heading down. Can we see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah, we can see the light. Sometimes it flickers a little bit. It's certainly not our intention to delay things. We've tried to be as efficient as we possibly can throughout this process. And
can I stop you right there? Sorry, and I'm bouncing. My brain's firing at 100 miles an hour right now. But I would like to know how that, when did this begin, for one? This new collective bargaining agreement conversations begin? Maybe why didn't they begin sooner so we didn't get to this point? Or is this the natural kind of evolution of this type of negotiation where it needs to almost play out to this drop dead date? We get up to this threshold where the pressure is so high that you need to do something. Tell me how the entire, you're handing proposals back and forth. How does this process work between the negotiating committee? I think most of your negotiations have been between Brett and Russ. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I think sometimes the labor relation board gets on the calls as well. But when you're exchanging proposals back and forth, how long does it take to get a response from each other? And how long have these negotiations been going on?
I don't want to place blame on anybody or do anything like that. But the process probably started in January for the most part. And there's certainly been some gaps along the way. Last time around, 3 years ago, we were able to sort of sit down and crush out a deal, and pen was to paper early August. I would have loved to do that, so we're not in this position as we are right now. Sometimes you just need to have a little bit of pressure, it feels like, in order to have some urgency to get something done. And you can certainly feel the urgency building up. This isn't a unique situation for this league in particular. It feels like we've been down a similar path before. We want to start the season on time, get the guys to training camp. That's our number one priority. But at the same time, we have to have a fair deal in order to move forward. We can't just sign something just to start on time and get the guys to camp. So we're really hoping that we can just get to that finish line, something fair that we can all just kind of move on from and start playing lacrosse.
Yeah, I look forward to, right? And Zach, I mean, listen, I know you guys are doing what's best for the players. The owners are doing what's best for the owners. And, the fans are the ones that are kind of left out there hanging a little bit, right? But it's more than just that. Like, I'm wondering if either side thinks about the parking attendants, the ticket salespeople, the concession workers, the referees, the broadcasters. Like, are you guys considering these people when you're negotiating a CBA as well? Like, because there's a lot of people that depend on the National Lacrosse League happening.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have some awesome people in our sport. We have great staff in San Diego. We have great announcers that come to San Diego. We definitely value everyone with our sport, and including our owners. We obviously wouldn't be where we are without our owners. They're super invested in us as athletes, and we're very thankful to have them. So we don't take it lightly that this does affect a lot of people, and we want to make sure that everyone gets to enjoy our sport. We do care immensely about our members, and they are our priority. So that's where we start, but we do not take it lightly that there are other people involved that would get affected by potential work stoppage, and that's the last thing that we want to do. We're very hopeful to be able to get a deal done, and to give some optimism for fans out there. A deal can happen in 2 hours if both sides come to an agreement and come to the table and hash some issues out. So
that's what I've been saying, man. Just order a couple of wheels up, get in an office, get somebody out there to lock the door from the outside, and just stay in there until it's done. How about that?
Works for us.
All right.
Yeah, we've been starting to heat up with those conversations, and I would love to have a clock on the amount of times the amount of time we spent on with the league the past week or so. It's got to be 20 to 30 hours at this point. So we're getting into a virtual room, and we are getting out of it, but we're getting in it a lot. So
all right. Well, hey, you guys, I know you got a job to do, and I don't want to take any more of your time up from doing it, but I do want to say, like, I know a lot of people were asking for you guys to come on and just kind of share your thoughts a little bit. So I'm really glad that you made the decision to do that. I know our listeners will be as well, and I bet you a bunch of your membership will be as well to kind of hear from you guys here on the pod as well. So I really appreciate you guys doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. And if there are some NLLPA members out there, just hold strong and have some confidence in your leadership, and we'll get this done and get back to playing lacrosse.
Reid, any final thoughts?
Thanks, Jake. Thanks, Evan. Really appreciate the time. Some very insightful questions. We might not have answered them with as much detail as everybody in the public would have liked, but hopefully we'll get this thing done across the finish line, and we'll all be abreast to what's been agreed to.
All right, I'm going to be looking for that shirt before you know it here, Reader. So appreciate you guys doing this, and hopefully we see each other in a rink very soon.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Evan.
There they are, Reid Reinholdt, Zach Currier, Vice President of the National Lacrosse League Players Association. And they're working hard right now, Evan. They're putting in a lot of hours. I know just yesterday was a 5+ bargaining session. Today they had to push back the interview because they were on another call today. You just heard them. They're talking to every single team. They did 5 yesterday, another 5 today. They're going to do another couple, here in the coming days. So my takeaways from all of that, I think we're getting close. I think we're down to the short strokes here. I think there's still, a couple of big key points, but I don't think it's anything that can't be negotiated and find some common ground and get this sucker done. I think we're close.
We're close. And exactly, we can't get they can't get into all the details because they need to negotiate that behind closed doors. I think back, Jumbo, episode 1 and 2.
Oh my
right?
God.
We were in the thick of it. Right?
I mean, we're going back to the old regime, right?
Yeah.
Jaros and who else? I can't even remember the names of the
Peter
guys
Schmidt,
back then. There
Dave
you go.
Suckamore.
Suckamore. That's the one I was looking for right there.
That one there, we were dealing with this even later in the year than they're dealing with it now. And, they had the
season started a lot later, right? That was back when they started in January back then. Now we're November.
Yeah, but we were kind of on the front lines of that one. It was getting down to the nitty gritty. People
really
finally got a wake up call.
That's how the podcast started.
Episode 1 and 2.
Somebody's got to talk about this, and that's how we fired up. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm certain a deal's going to get done.
Me too.
I get that.
My hopes are high. I'm very optimistic. Neither side wants to miss any sort of significant time here.
Yeah.
I don't think they can afford to. And I think both sides know that.
Yeah.
Right? And any time missed is going to be detrimental, and they both know it.
I mean, it's still going to take a few days, even once they got a final deal, because they still got to go. The Board of Governors has got to go and ratify their side. The players have to go ratify their side. There's going to take a bit of time. I think my number one concern right now, once a deal is done, is you've got a U.S. government shutdown right now. How quick can they even get visas? Or are we looking at Canadian training camps? Maybe? I don't know, right?
I mean, every person that on the board side that I've talked to, that's one of the first things out of their mouth, visas.
Yeah.
I mean, they take some time, they take some money, and they take some time, and there's no quick fix around that. So I don't know if some teams have been proactive and kind of gotten ahead of that. If you were smart, you probably did. But I know, talking with some other teams that haven't even booked a flight for a training camp yet.
Mm-hmm.
And each week that goes by, the cost of that goes up about $10K for the entirety, right? So now when you think about that, $10K a week, what are we fighting over here as far as the cap goes? Is it even worth it? If you're going to hold out for another 3 weeks and lose $30K, do you not just give them the $30K on the front end and get it going?
Yeah. You and I were talking before the interview, maybe one of the things to consider to get the owners' losses down, but get the players a good deal and help them out with, their travel situation.
Unified standards.
Go back to the East-West, or go to a Canada-US or whatever.
Well, it's not Canada-US. I mean, it's the going across the continent that's the costly, right? You want to stay in your time zone if you can, or near it anyway.
I mean, it's a little difficult with East-West now because you would have an imbalance, but at least if you're playing more games closer to your market, or if teams out west have more BC players, they're not flying as far, and the East teams have more Ontario players, they're not flying as far.
Yeah, and somebody I was talking to yesterday, I'm not mentioning any names, but brought up, if you did go back to the East-West thing, find a way to still have your rivalry games, right? But you could do top 3 in each conference and then have a wild card on either side as well. It's a doable thing to still get the best teams in at the end of the year.
Yeah.
All right, big focus. We didn't do the Goalie Factory.
Big save, Giuliano. Rebound call, Crime Stoppers. Vince just scored a goalie goal. Jameson somehow comes up with the stop. Larceny.
And here's Shane Jackson off the bench. And there's Christian Del Bianco with a stick side save. I'm just going to mention the Goalie Factory this week. I apologize to the fellas. There's just no lacrosse going on right now, and I'm not handing out a goalie of the week to somebody I don't know deserves it. So I'll just let you know here. The Goalie Factory, they are proud sponsors here on the podcast. They are located out there in Langley, coaching up the next generation of box lacrosse goaltenders led by Riley Brown, Caleb and Marcus Kahn, Curtis Armstrong, Danila Carey doing the damage on the socials as well. But whether you're experienced, whether you're new to the game, whether you're male, female, whatever, the Goalie Factory will make you better at playing goal. That is true as it can be. At Goalie Factory _ is where you want to go. They got the sign up tab right there in their bio. You can go to their website. They got some merch. They got all sorts of things going on over there at the Goalie Factory, and they got Zoom coaching as well. So if you're not in the Lower Mainland here in British Columbia, you can still get better at playing goaltender simply by going on Zoom and get the coaching there. You get access to film review, training tips, game-ready strategies. It's all going down at the Goalie Factory. At Goalie Factory _ book your online goalie coaching session today and become factory built at the Goalie Factory. We thank those guys for sponsoring the pod as well. That will wrap up a big number quarter one, and we're going to get you into quarter number two and back into our season previews here, beginning with San Diego, the Seals. I had a little bit of a lisp there. Thanks to Reid, Reinholdt, and Zach Currier there. That was a great conversation. Now let's have one with Patrick Merrill. Head coach, general manager of San Diego is next. Stay classified.
Hey, this is Jonathan Donville. You're listening to Lacrosse Classified, growing the game one podcast at a time.
Welcome back to Lacrosse Classified. Into quarter number two, we go here on Lax Class 315. What are you looking so confused over there about, Lucas? You're making me nervous. What's going on?
I was doing the same thing you were doing. I was pulling up the San Diego Seals schedule.
Well, don't tell people I was doing that. All right, quarter number two is brought to you by Edge Dynamics. They want to sharpen your brand. They want to take it to a global level by doing that. You can go to Edge Dynamics Digital and see what they're doing over there, and then get in contact with them by visiting their website at edgedynamics.ca. Passionate about supporting communities and driving growth. Based out of Alberta, but they'll help anybody. But if you have a nonprofit or a small business and you want to deliver sharp marketing strategies that make an impact, the choice is simple: edgedynamics.ca. We'll welcome the general manager and the head coach of the San Diego Seals back on the podcast as we continue our season previews here this week. And we're off to SoCal. He's hanging out in Ontario right now, but Patrick Merrill is back on Lax Class. Patrick, welcome back. How are things?
Hey, fellas. Yeah, things are good. Things are good. Thanks for having me back on.
Always a pleasure to have you on the podcast here, Patrick. And, well, first and foremost, how are things going over there at the Hill? Let's start there. Usually we end off there, and it's me asking you for a corner office overlooking the sporting facility there, but we haven't got there yet. But how are things going at the Hill Academy?
Well, it's still ready for you. That office is still there waiting for you, Jumbo. But yeah, things are great. Off to another really good start so far this fall. The weather's been unbelievable up here in Ontario, so that's always nice when you're starting a school year. But yeah, up to over almost just over 300 students. So things are going really, really well, and it's growing. And yeah, thanks for asking. Things are going great.
Good. Well, speaking of the nice weather back there, I saw you out at the Toronto Ruck Terry Sanderson inaugural golf tournament. So you take a nice little poke off the tee there. How's the golf game looking?
Oh, I don't know. It was a lot of fun, actually. Going to the golf tournament there last week. I mean, the golf game is the same, not very good, but had a great day. With Shooter and Woodsy and Billy Greer, we had a good day and got to see some old teammates, and always great day remembering T too. So it was a cool event that Jamie put on for us.
Couple milks in there. Did you get to go back to the roots?
No. I had to get back to school that day.
300 students, you said so far, Pat. How are both lacrosse teams looking so far, both varsity and JV? You got most of the alumni back, and Hossack, Jeff Teets, a couple other guys that are slipping my mind, but are they back with you this season?
Yeah, we actually have 3 boys teams and 2 girls teams now, so everything's going really well. Yeah, Teeter is the head coach of our prep team. Brode kind of took a step back from coaching that team this year, and he kind of went down to coach our varsity team. Haas is back. We have Erica Evans and Carly Quinn on the girls' side. It's kind of an all-star staff. Brought in some kind of Hill alumni, some younger guys like the Accioni brothers and Graydon Hogg and Zach Kearney, and guys that are playing in the NLL as well. So it's some fresh blood in there as well. But yeah, we're pretty lucky. We have a great staff.
It doesn't sound like it's all that difficult to recruit coaches to come to. If it's like, yeah, you want to do that? Yes, I do. Is probably the conversation that takes place here. Enough about the Hill, Patrick. Not that I couldn't spend a lot of time talking about it, but we gotta talk some San Diego Seals here now. This roster in San Diego has been one that has been chasing a championship here for the last few years, I would say. And I don't know how many spots are up for grabs come this year. Free agency hasn't opened up yet. But let's talk about the draft here. You got the final pick of the first round and a guy that declared pretty late for the entry draft. I watched this guy firsthand at the Minto Cup playing for the Double Blue and was ultra impressed with Ari Steinhaus, a name that a lot of lacrosse fans will be familiar with.
Yeah, we were super, super excited that Ari kind of fell to us at 18. We were actually trying to move up a little bit to get him. We were tracking him pretty closely all summer long. Obviously, we're very familiar with his dad, Mark, and his uncle, Billy D. We think he's got a really, really high ceiling, this kid. Obviously in full display at the Minto Cup, but amazing athlete. Plays like I think he's kind of a bit of a combination of his dad and his uncle in terms of the way he plays. He's mean and physical like his uncle Billy D was, but also he's got some flashes of Mark there too in terms of his
the
dynamic
body probably
ability with
right
the
in
ball.
between them too, right, Patrick? Like he's probably a hybrid of the two as far as the body type goes as well.
Exactly, yeah, and again, I think he fits in really well with our group too in terms of the way we play, and some of the other young defenders that we have. We think he's obviously a very young guy. We're going to take some time with him, but we think he's going to fit into our system and our defensive core very nicely.
Someone else that you might have to take your time with, Pat, but hopefully not too much, as you were on the clock a couple picks later, is Chris Kavanaugh, and you drafted him. You obviously signed his older brother, Pat, last year midway through the season, so now you got two Kavanaughs on the Seals roster. What did you like out of Chris coming out of Notre Dame?
Yeah, I mean, we were after Pat for about a year, and then obviously he had played a lot of lacrosse from Notre Dame, kind of straight into the PLL. He was a bit banged up, so couldn't join us for training camp and the first half of the season. But when he did agree to sign with us, and he was very, very impressive right off the hop. Just obviously a supreme athlete. You've seen what he's done in field and that sort of thing, but he picked up the box game really, really quickly. He's a really tough kid, really smart kid, and again, I think kind of brings a dimension to our offense that we kind of lack in terms of his ability to get to the net and his shiftiness and draw doubles and be able to break those doubles down. So, but obviously, we had a pretty veteran team and we were kind of fighting and battling to get into the playoffs last year. So wasn't much opportunity for him to play. So we expect Pat to take another step, but then after getting to know Pat and his character and the type of person he is, he was kind of all over me and the rest of our coaching and scouting staff to keep a closer eye on his brother, Chris, and had a phenomenal summer in the PLL. They're just kind of both winners and high character kids that kind of can do different things. And we think are going to be really good box players going forward, fully committed to the game. Kind of lacrosse junkie type kids.
Oh, they're lax rats, Pat. They just never put
100%.
The stick down. They're in the backyard. They're competing all the time, and they're like maybe two of the most creative players that I've seen play. Like they really try passes and shots that not a lot of other guys can even think to try.
100%, and I mean they live together. They basically kind of share a brain at this point. The two of them, we kind of joke with them. They're attached at the hip, and if you saw them play together in college, they play really, really well off each other, right? Because I think they compete, but they've obviously been growing up playing together in the backyard since they were really young. So they've got that kind of instant chemistry, which appealed to us as well.
Here with Patrick Merrill of the San Diego Seals, and let's touch on the schedule here a little bit, Patty. You know, the season last year in the unified standings was about as wild as you are ever going to see. And it just so happened that it was Buffalo and San Diego in the first round of the playoffs. And that's, not a matchup that I think anybody was looking forward to, because that could have easily been a finals preview in a lot of people's eyes. And it just so happened that one of those teams was going to get knocked out early, which was unfortunate. And you guys are, I don't want to walk you back through the game because I know you probably don't want me to do that. But let's have a look at your schedule. Your two-time opponents, Las Vegas. I love that. Got to play the Dogs twice a year. There's no question about that. You get Philly twice, Sask twice, Toronto and Vancouver twice, and nice little rivalry brewing there with the Warriors as well. When you saw the schedule come out, did anything, pop out at you that you were like, I like this, I don't like that? What do you think about the schedule this year?
No, I think everyone would tell you, you don't really want to, overthink the schedule or read too much into it. But you're right. Last year, I think for every team, but certainly for us, it felt like kind of a bit of a roller coaster, right? Of a schedule. I think finishing
a roller
the year
coaster season for you guys too, Pat. Right?
Exactly, with injuries and all the rest of it, and then kind of finishing 9-9, and we were felt like we were in a good position at 8-6, and then kind of run into a bit of a rut, I guess, at the end of the year, and then had to beat Albany at home in a thriller to get in. So. Yeah, I would say, you never want to face the two-time defending champs in the first round of the playoffs in a one-and-done game. But we felt like last year, just kind of, for all that we went throughout the course of the season, we felt pretty battle-tested kind of going into that game. We'd already kind of beaten Buffalo in Buffalo and had a big win in Toronto, which we'd never had as a franchise, since year one. As tough as we knew the matchup would be, we felt pretty good about it, just based on all the ups and downs that we went through. But I think this year, just kind of what stood out to us when the schedule came out was just a little bit more, kind of balanced. I don't know if that was, where we have kind of more bye weekends we didn't have.
You got five, Pat. Yeah.
Yeah, and more back to backs, which we kind of like, quite frankly, and it's kind of, again, you never know how it's all going to go, but and developing new, the leagues obviously identified some rivalries that kind of have formed and developed over the last couple of years in Vancouver and obviously Vegas. So yeah, we're just super excited to get after it, and we had a real intense battle against Ottawa at home last year, and another low scoring game and 1-goal game where Bergie had to kind of do his thing there late in the game, like he did.
I was there for that one. Yeah.
Yeah, you were. Yeah. And so we expect a tough one, game one in Ottawa, and yeah, so we're just looking forward to getting after it.
You have righty, you got Jake Govett, and with Mike Poulin retiring, you got Tyden Redlick in the pipeline there. Just those three names and a couple more if you want to mention there, Pat. What do you like about their games a lot that you're hoping to see more in training camp?
Yeah, that was kind of a bright spot of last year, right? Obviously you never want to deal with injuries, but we lost, Trevor for half the season. We lost, Rubes for a big chunk of the season, and Trey and a bunch of other guys.
Yeah,
Shu didn't play a game all last year. Excited to have him back, but what it did do is provide opportunity for those young guys to come and get a taste and kind of show what they could do. And we leaned on them a lot at different really critical points during the season, and the guys that you mentioned like Jake and Matt Wright were huge. Like you go back to some of the kind of highlights of the season from last year and those critical moments, and they had great performances. You mentioned Tyden. He had a great summer in Whitby. They went all the way to the finals against Orangeville, and I thought he really matured and showed some great things for being a 6th-round pick last year that we didn't really have a whole lot of expectations around. Trent DeChico, I think, was probably the most underrated rookie in the league last year, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm biased, but
I think you're probably onto something there, Pat. Yeah, he played real well.
He did, and we, for the first part of the season, we asked him to go out the front door, and then the second half of the season, he was out the back door and was awesome for us. Played every game, played in the playoff game, and played well beyond his years. So we're excited about year 2 for him because we think he's going to take a big step for us. And yeah, I mean, Ari, we traded for a kid named Marquez White as well, who's a San Diego kid who was injured last year. Buffalo drafted last year in the second round, and we acquired him right before the deadline, and he's healthy coming into camp. Excited to see what he can do. Yeah, I mean, again, the Kavanaugh brothers, as we already mentioned, but
Agione too. Did he miss the entire season as well?
Yeah, Cam, he tore up his shoulder the summer before, and had to have surgery and missed the entire year. And he's looking real good. He was great in the Prezi, as you know, Jumbo, for Snake Island, and looking really, really good. So yeah, expect a lot of competition in camp. But again, we're really excited about what that young blood can bring to our lineup. In combination with the veteran guys that we have returning.
What do you got for unrestricted, Pat? Do you got some work to be done? Have you made those offers and conversations? I know you can't put pen to paper quite yet, but for your unrestricted guys, or do you got some verbal confirmation everybody's coming back into the fold?
No, I mean, it's a really kind of tricky time, as you know. I wouldn't say that we have necessarily verbal confirmation from anyone yet. We're trying to be respectful of kind of that process that they're going through, and trying to navigate through, and yeah, not kind of jumping the gun in any way. I'd say we're having a lot of really good conversations. There's no secret that we're looking to add a lefty in this offseason. Hopefully both on the defensive side of things and on the offensive side of things. So having a lot of conversations with guys kind of that play those positions.
Couple good ones out there, Pat. There's a couple of good ones out there.
Yeah. So, Mike obviously has already announced his retirement. Jesse Gamble's moving on as well and is going to retire. So those are two great leaders that we had in the locker room that are going to be hard to replace. But, we obviously know where we stand with them, that they're not returning. So helps us kind of shape our strategy and fill those spots and have those conversations accordingly. Rubes is the guy that we'd love to have back. He's an unrestricted free agent. I think he's probably got calls from every team in the league, but we love what he brings to our team, and we're going to try our best to bring him back. Cam Holding's a guy, as you know, that's been kind of a staple in that market since we started, and
he's like a fine wine, Pat. He's like a fine wine, that Cam Holding.
He is, and he wants to play again, and we want him to play again. So, I would expect him to be back, but again, trying to be respectful of the unrestricted free agency process. Like they earn that, right? And these are really kind of complicated times for those guys. So, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I would say that conversations are going really well.
Since the Seals have come into the league, Pat, what is the landscape of lacrosse in San Diego and SoCal been in terms of growth, expansion, minor leagues, grassroots levels, all of that? What has that been like over the past couple of years since the Seals have been in existence?
Leaps and honestly, and Jumbo, you probably noticed it right over time.
Oh, monumental, man! Like massive. Unbelievable,
and from Steve and Shooter and Billy in the early days, to the work that the players that we have living in market do on a year-over-year basis, and the way the front office has evolved down there with ticket sales and corporate sponsorship. They grind, but the fan base, I would say the two things that kind of have stuck out to me is what resonates with the fan base. They're super receptive to the game, right, in general, and especially the box lacrosse game. Again, I think that has a lot to do with the work that Cam and Wes have done and with Junior Seals and the Royals over the years. But
let's give Mikey Grace a little shine there too, Pat, for the experience in the electric factory there. I mean, those fans get pretty rowdy, man.
I was just going to mention my boy Mikey Grace, and you're right. He deserves a ton of credit. It's quite an atmosphere there, and they also pay attention too, right? As you know, Jumbo, right?
I'm telling you, I've been around the loop a couple of times here, man, and there's something to be said about that. Like, I know Pechanga is not the newest building, but I think that has some allure to it. Like, I think there's some sort of experience or charm about going into that building and feel like it's almost like a hostile environment when you go in there with that fan base. And it's kind of an old, rundown building, but it's got a really good vibe in it. Like, I like doing games there. I like watching games there. I think it's a fun place to go take in a game.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that the fans really kind of connect to that, kind of the wrong side of the tracks, if you will, in San Diego.
If there is such a thing in San Diego, yeah.
Yeah, and the history of that building. And I think, like, again, with Mike and Paul and Paul Speaker and Adam, they've kind of turned it into that electric factory. It's been growing, like you said, since year one, but lost a little momentum there with COVID. But we expect it to continue to be even more full in there and build on that fan base. And again, we were 6-3 at home for a reason. We've always kind of done well at home, and in big part to the vibe in there that the fans create.
You excited to begin the season somewhat at home? You don't have to travel too far to Ottawa, Pat. Better than hopping on a flight heading down to California. Looking forward to game one?
Yeah, I mean, again, I try to spend as much time in California as I can. I
don't think Lucas has ever been down to San Diego. If he's comparing, taking a trip to Ottawa, I know it's a flight to California, but until you've been down to San Diego, Pat.
It's again, I like it, last year was an eye-opening experience. I just mentioned we were 6-3 at home, but we were 3-6 on the road. So that's we got to be better, right? Especially when we travel to the east, and I think we learned a lot through that process. Going down and taking our lumps in Halifax, taking our lumps in Rochester, Albany, right? So a big area of focus for us, as we approach this training camp, is to be better prepared for that west to east travel. And most of our guys are located within San Diego. It's a good situation down there. We have a great practice facility. They're able to train and shoot all the time on their own out there. But again, we got to be better. We got to be better on the road. We had some big wins, but it wasn't good enough. So to get that start in Ottawa, I think is a great test for us. Is perfect for us. And hopefully we can grab a win. It's not going to be easy. Grab a win and take some momentum from there.
Last one here for you, Pat, and I'm pretty sure I asked you this probably a year ago, and I'm going to ask you again, and that's if you have any kind of an update on Austin Stotts, because when I was back for the President's Cup, I happened to take a trip to Six Nations and happened to run into Miles General back there, who I think is kind of taken Austin under his wing and has gotten him into a pretty good place as far as his life goes and being sober. I don't know, what the road entails, or if there's even a road that he can go down to make his way back into the National Lacrosse League or with the San Diego Seals. I don't know if you have any information.
Well, no, I mean, in terms of his status with the league and with the Seals, he's still technically suspended indefinitely. But I actually I wasn't aware that you're able to meet Miles. I was able to connect with him near the end of the summer there and have some good conversations and get some updates through him. And I was able to see Austin at the end of the summer, and I think definitely, Austin spent the last year doing a lot of work on himself. What the future holds, I don't think anyone knows, including him yet. But I know he's very lucky to have the support system that he does back home in Six Nations, and including Miles and the work that he's done with them. And again, I was just really relieved. And
you worry about the person more than the player, right, Pat? You worry about the person more than the player at this point, and hopefully there's a way for Austin to kind of find his way. Pat, listen, I know a couple of things. You got your man in Westburg down there, and this guy, he's a winner. And he's going to win a championship for the San Diego Seals at some point. It could be, very well could be, this upcoming season. We shall see. I hope I get down. I've never looked forward to working out so much than I do when I'm down in San Diego. So I hope I get down there for a couple more games this year.
Yeah, well, we got to time those workouts a little bit better, Jumbo. You're kind of
I
showing
know.
me up in there
No,
at the
no,
gym,
no.
but
I
yeah,
could tell
no.
some stories.
Well, always love seeing you down there, and yeah, we're extremely excited about our squad and can't wait to get going. But thanks for talking Seals today, boys. Hopefully, we're getting to see you again really soon here.
All right, Patrick. Be well. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, fellas. Thank you. Take
There you
care.
go. There he is, Patrick Merrill, general manager, head coach of the San Diego Seals. And I don't know if that's the first time you've had a chance to talk to Patrick or not, Lucas, but, getting to know Pat over the last 7 years, like I knew Pat as a player, just the way he went out there and competed, like you knew this guy ran hot, but learning about Pat and getting to know Pat kind of off the floor a little bit over the last few years, I can tell you this guy cares deeply about his team and that roster and that sport and that franchise. He's an emotional guy, but he cares a lot. And I know how badly he wants to win that championship down there in San Diego. I think they got the right guy in charge down there. And I know he's probably felt a little bit of pressure not getting it done with the teams that he has had to kind of start his career down there. But it's a shot here, a save there, a bounce there. Like they have not been that far off. And you think back to that Buffalo game a year ago, easily could have went San Diego's way. So we'll see what the Seals do this season. But there you go. There's Patty Merrill, Mad Dog. They used to call him back in his day.
When we brought on Cooper Perkins last season, Jake, Cooper flat out said that Pat does not get the credit or the praise or the accolades that he deserves because he does care a crap ton about the organization, his fans, and everybody involved. So Pat is the man, and you're right. Hopefully a championship banner will be hanging in Pechanga Arena very time soon.
Yeah, he's got great coaching staff around him as well. Down there in San Diego, well, we're going to go from SoCal to the tune. We're probably going to stay in Ontario because I'm pretty sure that's where this guy is hanging out as well. But he's the man in charge of the Rush. It's Derek Keenan on Lacrosse Classified, and it's next.
Associated Labels and Packaging, a fun family company that offers premium quality labels and packaging with unparalleled service. With 40 years of experience, an extensive product catalog, and an ever-growing fleet of equipment, Associated Labels and Packaging is the perfect fit to take your labels and packaging to the next level.
Hey, this is NLL Hall of Famer Josh Sanderson. You're listening to Lacrosse Classified, go-to source for all things NLL and box lacrosse.
Welcome back to Lax Class. Halftime is over. Quarter 3 has begun, and quarter 3 is brought to you by Associated Labels and Packaging. They are the best in the business when it comes to labels and packages. They have a huge catalog. They have the best technology. They keep the environment in mind with every product that they make, and over 45 years of experience doing it. AssociatedLP.com is where you want to go if you need a label, you need a package. Associated LP are your people. Well, welcome back to the show, General Manager of the Saskatchewan. Do I call you a co-coach? Now, I don't know what to call you in that regard, but General Manager of the Saskatchewan Rush, I'll just call you that right now. Derek Keenan, sure. Jammer, back on the show. How's it going?
Very well, thanks, Jake. How are you?
I'm good. It doesn't feel right to call you like an associate coach or an assistant head coach. Like You're always going to be the man to me. So I don't know.
Technically, we're co-head coaches, but sure, whatever you think.
Yeah,
the bottom line is I was a bad press box guy, so yeah. I'm much better off down there.
Honestly, like that's part of the reason that I've kind of wanted to stay in the game in some sort of capacity or another. Because when you're playing, like you're good. When you're coaching, well, you might not be able to impact, the game the way you want to, but at least you're in the mix and you're feeling stuff. But when you're standing there invested as a general manager, just helpless as can be watching, that is it's painstaking, man. Like I
didn't like it a lot, and I wasn't very good at it. So,
well, the one thing you are quite good at is building a roster, and we had you on, I think, last year and the year before that, and you've been real with the fans of Saskatchewan, that there was going to be a little short-term pain for that long-term gain. And you were pretty steadfast in your message. Hey, we're going to get there. This roster is starting to remind me a lot of our kind of heyday dynasty years when we were winning championships. Now, you get right there a year ago, you were back in the finals. So, is the next evolution of this roster to hoist it over your head one more time here this coming season, Derek?
That's the plan, sure. I mean, obviously that's everybody's plan, right? But we took a couple years to kind of rebuild things from our past, and we kept a couple of veterans, a few veterans around, but for the most part, we kind of turned things over and went with the younger group and a little bit of a new regime and leadership as well. And it started to pay off, and we were fortunate enough to make it to the final. And unfortunately, we had a really bad 30 minutes, and Buffalo had a really good 30 minutes, and that's kind of what it came down to. So we're the plan is to try and get back there and play 60 minutes this time around, but that's a long ways away, and I think it's going to be a little tougher for us this year. I think our schedule is a little more difficult. Everybody, I think, is probably going to get better, so we need to get that much better, I think, in order to get back there.
Well, we'll talk about the schedule. We'll talk about how you think you want to get better. Go back and you look at it here, Derek, like Midski, Dilks, Corbeil, Rubish, Matthews, like McIntosh, Curtis Knight, like you've almost flipped this entire roster over now. I think maybe the biggest signing, and it was a guy that you were very familiar with, winning a Minto Cup with back in the day, was Austin Shanks. Like the immediate impact this guy brought to your roster was pretty evident. Have you targeted another guy? I know no free agency quite yet, but you got your eye on a couple of guys that you think can make an impact like Shanksy did?
From a free agent perspective, to be honest, Jake, not really. No, we think we have, a couple of things we identified postseason when we evaluated everything was, we feel that we need to be a little more dynamic on offense, meaning a little more athleticism and a little more speed, but we think we have that from within. We don't think we need to, we really believe Levi Anderson, he played a smaller role last year. He didn't play every game, played a little bit of defense for us, but he needs to be more of an impact guy this year, and we really think he has that in him. We feel the same about Josh Sawada. So, those are two guys with tremendous athleticism and skill, and so we think we have that from within. And then at the other end of the floor, how we like to play. We like to play tempo. We like to get out and pressure and kind of dictate tempo that way. And, we no different than we played 10 years ago. Just the difference, I think, being we were fortunate to have athletic guys who were big, and had a lot of size and speed and athleticism and skill. So the one thing we identified is we lacked a little bit of size on the back end. I don't think it really was a major factor in that last game, but at the same time, we always say this, so we're not going to sacrifice athleticism for a big guy who can't move. So we really feel with Virch, we got both. We really think
he's a good one, Derek.
Yeah. We think we got a guy who's big and can play our system, and he's got a little bit of a mean streak in him. And so we managed to do that in the draft at a spot where we really didn't think we would get that big of an impact guy drafting at, I guess it was 13. And we were really fortunate to get him there, and happy to have him.
That's late in the draft for you. I didn't no pick until 13.
Yeah. Can't seem to make those deals anymore.
Well, I wonder why. I wonder why. I was talking to Dan McRae
really
last week, Derek, and I was saying to Dan McRae last week, rookie GM in the National Lacrosse League. Here's a little tip for you. Stay away from making deals with
shouldn't be saying that to him.
No, I didn't say that.
Couple.
You sure you didn't tell him that before the draft? Because I tried to do a deal during the draft.
Oh, no, he was on just last. No.
One other young guy that had a big impact for you this past season, Jammer, was Kizek T-Bone. Hey, when you had Frankie becoming a new father. You threw Kaisick in net, and
Mhm.
I mean, from my standpoint, he had a huge impact, and I know that you are still high on him after the
Mhm.
season that he had and the summer that he also produced with the Beaches.
Mhm. Yeah, we are high on Thomas. You know, he's a kid who just really works extremely hard at it, and he'll take a million shots in practice and warm ups, and he's always the first guy out on the floor. He obviously has a lot of skill as a goaltender, and great team guy. You know, stepped in pretty tough circumstances last year with Frank being gone for 2 games, and had a little bit of a rough start the first 4 or 5 went in, and then after that he just sort of settled in and was really solid for the 2 games. And we know that we can count on him if needed, and we know that we have a real good kid for the future as well.
You also brought back another guy last year, and you signed him, I believe, to a couple more years. And Matt Hossack, you brought him back to the back end. I bet that kind of felt like old times having Hossack back in a Rush jersey, eh?
Yeah, we were fortunate. I mean, you never like to see you lose a team in our league. It's really unfortunate because you're losing 25 jobs. But he was the guy we wanted, and we just were fortunate enough that he fell to where. And now we've extended him for 2 years. That was really important for us because he was going to be a UFA. And Matt's a kid that I've known since he was 8 years old, and he's just a quality person. And he was the D man of the year, so he had a heck of a year for us. He made a huge impact, for us.
Game 2 against Halifax, eh? With 3 seconds left was
yeah,
a
that
pretty
was
big
quite a
moment
play.
for him.
That was kind of initiated by Messenger, and then Ryan Barnable smart enough to pick the ball up and make a play up the floor, and then Haas just finished it. That was something. I mean, I think people were already starting to leave the building, and we pulled that one out of our hat, and that was fortunate because you know what, if you go to the third game there, they got a little bit of momentum. You never know what might happen, but that was quite a play by those guys.
Go back to Mike Messenger here for a sec, because I just happened to be scrolling his Instagram the other day, and this cat beats to a bit of a different drum, Derek. We both know this, but Mike and his pup were out in God knows where, just wandering through the forest of British Columbia somewhere. He said he was about 6K deep, chasing down an elk, got his first elk takedown.
Yep.
And then put half of that thing on his back and packed it out 6 kilometers. I don't know if people realize how much an elk weighs, but never mind walking 12K in the wilderness. He's doing this with a half an elk on his back.
He's a strong man. And I was aware of that. And I think a couple days before that, he got a mule deer with his girlfriend. So he's stocking the freezer for the winter.
He's eating good.
His protein for the winter. He'll be ready to go. But yeah, he likes his outdoors, and I follow along with a lot of the things he does there, and it's pretty cool.
I'd just be absolutely terrified being in the bush by myself. That is something I could never even fathom. Just wandering out into the bush by yourself for days on days is just insane to me. But anyways, you mentioned your schedule. You think it's a little bit tougher this year. Tell me why.
Well, I mean, obviously, they do strength of schedule, meaning we play Buffalo twice, and, we play Halifax twice. We play Halifax on the 27th of December, which it's a little bit of a knife in the back as far as I'm concerned, because it's going to be tough travel for our West guys. We've had a tough time in there until the playoffs, and we prepared differently for that game. We went in 2 days before, because if you think about it, it's a big time change for our guys on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Even our guys who live in Sask, and not bad for the Ontario guys, the East guys, but we've struggled in there. So we're obviously not going to be able to go in 2 days before when it's Christmas Day. So, but we'll deal with that one, and then we got a little stretch there in February. I think we're playing 3 games in 6 days, with a Philly on a Sunday, and then Buffalo, Rochester, Friday, Saturday. So, but other than that, hey, you got to play everybody, and you prepare for everybody the same, and it's just going to be, I just think a little more difficult in terms of the strength of schedule.
Well, I was gonna say Chugger was on here a couple of weeks ago, just bitching and whining about how difficult his schedule was, and
Yeah.
we'll just play whoever they put in front of us. We can't control. But is this something? Do you know? Like, is this something that Brian Lemon and the Brain Trust there factor in? Like, do the two teams that make the NLL finals the previous year get the two toughest schedules the following year, or is it more about
Usually,
arena
yes.
dates and that type of thing?
Typically, yeah. I mean, that's the way they do it. They do it. It's on a rating
The way they
system.
should do it.
What's that?
That's the way they should do it, as far as
Yeah,
I'm
it is.
concerned.
There's a rating system based on where you finish in the standings and in the playoffs is basically the way it's done. And so it's fair. I mean, like I said, you got to play everybody. And I like the new system with one division, to be honest. Like it got a little bit old sometimes playing a lot of teams and then and then there was other teams we wouldn't see for like 3 years, like we hadn't played Toronto in a long time prior to the change a couple of years ago. So I think we played Toronto twice, maybe two, or maybe only once. Can't remember, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and it's exciting though. I mean,
Well,
I
you,
think
you
we're
bring
gonna.
up a good point. You bring up a good point about the unified standings, because I think this is something, like, as much as I have enjoyed the chaos that the unified standings create. And not only that, but yeah, you get to see a Lyle Thompson or a Dane Smith come through your arena at least every 2 years, if not every year, which I think is phenomenal. But
Yeah,
with that being said, with these CBA negotiations going on, and the landscape that we're kind of in right now, I wonder, like, I do miss Calgary and Saskatchewan playing 2-3 times a year. I want to see Toronto and Buffalo play 2-3 times a year, but it does get a little repetitive. But the thing that it does with the regional schedule is it saves teams a ton of money, Derek.
yeah. I
So
mean,
I wonder if that's a road that maybe we might entertain once again, just to try and stabilize things a little bit.
it's possible. I mean, anything's possible. Especially, I mean, now we're an even number of teams now, right? So that makes it different. That makes it a little easier to schedule too. Now you could technically everybody could play every week.
Yeah, top
Um,
three on each, maybe a wild
yeah,
card on
yeah.
each side, something like
I
that.
mean, yeah, I mean, well, Calgary. I mean, the other one they factor in are rivalry games or rival games, which I'm
Gotta have
surprised
them.
Toronto. I'm surprised Toronto and Buffalo aren't playing twice. They typically do, but that could be strength of schedule thing. But we are playing Calgary twice.
But
We're
you
only
guys
playing.
used to play like 6 times a year.
Yeah, yeah, no.
Sometimes,
No, we
right?
always played three for sure. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're only playing Vancouver once, which surprised me because we have a pretty good thing going with them now too. So,
Yeah, no,
but
Jimmy hates him. He's on record. He hates him.
yeah, so but it's I mean, I think the big thing, like I do like the unified, I do, but I do think there is probably some discussion going on and cutting down
I
a little
think
bit
we
on
could find a
costs.
happy medium in there
Hmm.
somewhere, somehow. Like, keep the rivalry games, still have unified, but somehow some sort of a hybrid where you're maybe a little more cost effective, but still getting the games that everybody wants to see.
Hmm. Hmm. And playing everybody at least once, right? Like I think that's important as well because then you kind of you have a better understanding what the league looked like. And I think when we were in C division, sometimes it was a little bit skewed, especially a couple of years there. Like the East was really, let's be honest, was a lot stronger than the West. And now you get a full, real look at what it actually looks like when everybody plays everybody.
Coaching staff all back. Derek, yourself, Quinlan, and Jeremy. You guys gonna be
Yep.
running the bench again for another season?
Yeah, same crew. Yeah, same crew. We all signed 2-year extensions this summer. Evan Kirk's our goalie coach as
Yeah, I
well,
was gonna
which
say,
is an
don't forget
important
Kirky in
piece.
there,
All
Yeah,
right?
right,
Yeah.
Kirky. How could I forget Evan?
He's our goalie coach, so he's a really important piece too. He's really good with both Frankie and our young guys. So yeah, same guys, and we're excited to get going here.
Well, I'll tell you this, Jammer. We talked about the fan base and how it kind of tailed off a little bit, but getting back to that finals really showed me that Rush Nation is still there, and they're going to support a winner when you got it.
Mhm.
I still think the town of Saskatoon could use a little facelift, and a new building could be in order there to really kind of spice things up in Saskatoon. Do we know if the Priestners or the city of Saskatoon, like, has there been any discussion about building a new building in the town?
There's definitely been discussions for sure. I don't. That's all I know though, Jake. I don't know any more than that, but I know there's been discussion with the Priestner family and the city and the province. So that was the last I heard like a year ago. But I'm pretty sure there's discussions. But at the same time, like we're back where we want to be on the floor, and now we have to do a little bit better job in the business side to start filling the stands again, and that's a work in progress, but we'll get there as well. But I mean, hey, everybody likes a winner, and when we relocated from Edmonton, it was a pretty good situation.
Yeah,
We
show up
brought
and
a
win.
champion. Yeah, we won the year before in Edmonton, and then we moved and we were really good right away. And so it wasn't that difficult. But now, hey, I've taken my lumps on it, and rightfully so. Like we missed the playoffs 3 years in a row, and now we're back to where we want to be, and we got to continue that growth. And then on the business side, continue the growth there as well.
Well, you could certainly class up the building a little bit just by sticking a tie on John Fraser up there in the broadcast booth. I don't know. It's a simple equation, if you ask me. Derek, we'll get you out of here. You're looking good, man. You still on the TRX program there? What are you doing?
I get to the gym every day and still play a little bit of shinny hockey, and try to stay on top of things. We went to Greece for 10 days though. There, just got back last week, and that was a little bit. I'm just getting back into the routine here now.
A little too much baklava. A little too much baklava. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Jammer. Well, I appreciate your time as always, and hopefully we're talking about a season here sooner than later, and we cross paths soon.
You bet. Okay. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
There you go. Thanks, Derek. There he is.
Yeah.
Derek Keenan, GM, co-head coach of the Saskatchewan Rush, and really, I don't know if people kind of know this or not, but when I got essentially I didn't get the job in Vancouver when the Stealth moved downtown to the Warriors. I don't want to go into all the stuff that surrounded that, but I was left without a job, and I went into some pretty serious depression during that time. My dad was really sick, and I was kind of going through some stuff. I wasn't really happy in my own skin. And I was like way, way, way overweight, like really bad. I got to Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan ended up hiring me and started to hang around those guys. And in particular, Derek, who was in the gym, like on the road, every single game he was down there. And I thought to myself, like, this guy's probably 10, 12 years older than I am. What am I doing here? And Derek was a real big inspiration to me to kind of get my fitness path back on track, and went on to lose a ton of weight. I still got a lot more to go, but Derek was really a big help in that regard, and I'll always kind of remember and thank him for that.
That's great. He's a leader both on and off the floor, and sounds like he had a big impact in your life, Jake. So always glad to hear that, and glad to hear that things are going well in his life after a vacation to Greece. Sounds like things are almost in place for when training camps are hopefully going to open, and we'll see if the Rush can get back to the NLL finals once again.
All right. Let's also see if we can finally win some fucking cool bucks here. On the other side. Stupid.
Way to go, Argos.
Yeah. All right. Let's kick it over to quarter number 4. Wrap up this podcast. Lax Class Lock of the Week is next.
This is Jackson Webster, and you're listening to Lax Class.
Welcome back to Lax Class, quarter number 4. In quarter 4, time to ask you to subscribe, review, share the podcast, 5 stars only, jot down a few words, tell your friends about the podcast, give us a follow on social media at Lax Class Podcast. On the X, Lacrosse Classified on Instagram. We've got a Facebook page. We've got an email address at lacrosseclassified@gmail.com as well. You can follow Lucas at Larger Sports. You can follow me at PXP for Sports. You can follow Evan at Shem Lax. Is it still Shem Lax, Evan? Is that where you're rocking these days?
That's the same one.
All right. Maybe change it to Shem Sports, and then we'd all be
I don't
Larger
cover other
sports,
sports,
PXP for
though.
sports. Well, we're going to go to the other world of sports here for the Lax Class Lock of the Week. We don't have, well, actually, I didn't even look. Do we got odds for Super Sixes? Maybe we do.
Give me a Canada Red, Canada White women's final.
No, they don't have it. They don't have. All right, we're sticking with the NFL. We got a doubleheader on Monday night once again. So we're going to take the Buffalo Bills Mafia, just to make Pat Gregoire happy more than anything, because I just don't want to hear it if we don't take the Bills. So Bills on the money line, they're a pretty heavy favorite, minus 227. Commanders and Bears are playing as well, and the line right now at 4.5. We're going to knock this thing down to 3.5 and take the Commanders. And the total right now at 50.5. We're going to drop that thing right down to 47.5 at a minus 143 and take the over. Okay, so Bills, Commanders, over 47.5. You can find that parlay on Coolbet. You can sign yourself up for an account if you haven't done that yet. I forgot to put in the Lax Class Lock of the Week drop. I'm going to do that right now.
Lock of the week. Hey, let's lock and load it. Woo! Yeah!
I am going to be a very rich dude.
Ooh, that's a big lock, all right.
I just like to hear that. So there it is right there. Okay, Bills, Commanders 3.5, over 47.5. Coolbet will get their hands on this. They will give it a little spice courtesy of the exclusive parlay of Lacrosse Classified podcast on Coolbet. But don't forget, when you sign up for an account, before you make any kind of a deposit, put in the bonus code LAXClass, and that'll automatically trigger the Polar Bears to match your first-time deposit. They'll only do this up to $200, so you might as well take advantage of this. This is a one-time deal that they're offering. Put in $200, use the bonus code LAXClass, get free money, $200. They'll match you, and then you got $400. Wouldn't probably put all of it down this week on the Lax Class Lock of the Week. We're on a bit of a cold streak here. But a little three-way collaboration between myself, Lucas, and Evan this week. Bills, Commanders, and over, all on Monday night. Are you ready for some football? There you go. There's the Lax Class Lock of the Week. Stay cool. Bet responsibly. Coolbet.com. Bonus code LAXClass. Get free money. And that's going to do it. A huge program here this week. And I want to thank all of our guests. Patrick Merrill, Derek Keenan, Reid, Reinholdt, Zach Currier, Evan Schemenauer, I'll throw you in there as well. I want to thank our sponsors, too, Associated Labels and Packaging, Rycor Construction, Edge Dynamics, Goalie Factory, and, of course, Coolbet Canada. We'll be back with Lax Class 360 next week. Will we have a CBA done by then? We shall see. But for now, we got to go. For Evan and Lucas, I've been Jake, and for the fastest game on 2 feet and for the creator. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay classified.